hint.
All right, hello everyone. Today is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2019, and this is the weekly meeting of Kubernetes SIGDocs. This is a fourth Tuesday, so our meeting is at 7 p.m. Pacific, as opposed to our usual 10:30 a.m. time, and that's to make it easier for folks from the Asia Pacific region to attend. So let us get started. New contributors. So far, it just looks like the three of us. And, we all know each other pretty well at this point. So let's move on to updates and reminders. This week's PR Wrangler is Brad Topol. Thank you, Brad. And
I've started wrangling. I've already started wrangling.
Excellent. And we have Andrew Chen is the scheduled wrangler for next week, but I know, Brad, at one point you had talked about being willing to wrangle for 2 weeks in a row because Andrew has stepped away from Kubernetes. So is that something you're still willing to do?
There was an expert. No, absolutely. Yeah, if need be. So
Okay.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Sure.
Next week's PR wrangler is also Brad Topol, replacing Shinapis. Okay. Let's talk about docs. So I wanted to point out a cool thing that Amy Ukasik, aka Amy U, is doing. So reference doc generation has been a giant pain in the butt for a long time. It hasn't worked effectively in the release playbook for docs leads. Basically, the instructions right now are go see an issue that details why everything is broken, follow the trail of breadcrumbs, and then go from there. So Amy is doing a really valuable thing and automating reference doc generation, putting it all into a Python script. And she's opened a pull request. The link is there in the agenda. It's 16681. And I know that she would welcome feedback on that if anybody wanted to review or give feedback on that script.
Okay.
Better user experience. So our site UX right now for the docs, basically for everything in Kubernetes.io, is the finest that 2012 can offer. So Google earlier this year announced the release of a Hugo template called Doxy that they specifically designed for open source documentation. And I think it's worthwhile to look at applying that. So I am working with a set of contractors right now to begin applying the Doxy template to the site. And there will be plenty of time for review. This won't just be something that happens without review or without any chance to provide feedback. But I do want to surface visibility that I know I've mentioned this before in weekly meetings, but it's been a while. But the contractors are moving forward. So my hope is that we'll have enough of a review period given KubeCon, given the major holidays, to be able to provide adequate feedback on their work and hopefully have a better site template by the end of the year. Yes, Brad.
So similar to what we did when we were moving from Jekyll to Hugo, we had a sprint where we all took pages and looked for bugs and problems. Do you think the timing would line up for KubeCon NA to try and do that, or when do you think would it help to have a similar type sprint where we go through and we go see which pages were broken by the new template?
Because there will be some that are broken. Yeah, I think that would be, it's an excellent idea to hold a sprint for that purpose. It would be really nice if that lined up with North America. I think it's possible. I can't really assign a probability weight. I'm waiting back for an impact statement from the contractors about area specific pain points that they foresee in the template process. But I think it's possible, certainly, that the date could line up and we could have a sprint to do exactly that. And that would be that would be excellent. There would be opportunities for brand new users to very advanced users to participate and give feedback on that. So I like where you're headed with that.
Okay.
Let's see if we can line this up for sprint testing at KubeCon NA, all the better. Okay. Anything else specific to docs that folks would like to talk about? Brad, do you have anything specifically docs related?
Oh, I mean, just a teaser for next week. I got a quick preview of what the team did building a Java microprofile services tutorial on Katacoda. You know, so just a teaser for next week. It looked pretty cool, you know, so that should be interesting.
Right. We may get a preview next week of the Java microservices tutorial.
Yeah, that the IBM team built on Katacoda, right? So yeah, ideally they should be able to go through some of it. So I think there's potential growth in, you know, trying to get lots of those Java programmers to move to Kubernetes, and this is all focused on, oh, here's how you can build those microservices and run them on Kubernetes. I think it fills a nice gap. So we'll see.
Excellent. Okay, let's talk about process. We are overdue for our quarterly SIG meeting. So let's pick a date when to have that. As much as I would love to line it up with KubeCon North America, I think that finding space is going to be the difficulty. Yeah, I don't think we're going to have enough space to do it coterminously with that event. So let's just take a look really quick. I'm going to suggest that we should stick to the Thursday night model.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want to do this before KubeCon and before Thanksgiving, that leaves us, we could do it in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks, either on November 7th or November 14th. I'm reluctant to get too far into December because everybody starts leaving.
Right.
So I'm going to tentatively float the date of Thursday, November 14th. We'll get feedback on that next week to finalize, but I think, let's see, let's say that's 5 to 9 p.m.
Pacific, right?
Yes.
Okay, so 6 and 8. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Preferred dates in November over December. Tentatively planning Thursday, November 14th, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific. I know that's a rough time for you, Brad.
It's not so bad, actually, because it's guaranteed not to conflict with anything, which is nice. Like, okay. I know I have a big thing on the 14th, but it's in the morning, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
I know that's a rough time for you, Junyi.
Yeah.
It's early in the morning for you.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Let's see. Discuss and, let's see now. Confirm at weekly meeting on 10/29. Very good. All right. I don't know who added this, but someone asked if we should create a KEP to finalize a policy for dual hosted content. We did, thanks to everyone who submitted draft content for that. Tim Bannister, aka SF Tim, opened a pull request in the K enhancements repository. It's 1327. The link is in the agenda. And that is where we will hold official discussion and start iterating on the KEP from there. And hopefully it moves quickly, but because it's a KEP, I don't anticipate that it will be lightning fast. But I'm hopeful that we could get input or get a confirmation. Cool.
Which KEP was this one?
So this is a KEP for what to do with third-party content and dual-hosted content.
Oh yeah. The one I was working on with Cody, right?
Yes, same one.
Okay. Yeah, well, we should have some discussion. I think we're going to run into some issues. I think there are certain things that you are going to have a hard time getting those committees to pull out. So certain things, when I went through the reading, there were certain things that really look like, oh, this is out of place. You hit a page and out of the blue, it's, oh, here's how you do such and such for just one specific platform. And it's really seemed like a sore thumb. Yeah. And so, when I read those pieces, I'm like, yeah, that needs to get out of there. But it also seemed like some folks in the KEP really wanted to remove all the third-party getting started content. And I think that's going to make a lot of people uneasy. And in fact, it kind of makes myself a little uneasy because, we always had this view of you could come to the docs as a great place to pick out which platform you wanted and get started. So we were doing all these vendors that are supporting the CNCF a nice favor of, a single place where there's like 15 different ways that you are free to pick whichever one you want and get started. And so I got to go reread the KEP. I contributed some. I know Cody contributed some. I need to go back and look at it. But I'm not feeling comfortable about pulling out that getting started setup stuff because it was so valuable. I think, and that's my minor pushback, I think we'll get major pushback from our overlords because of the value it provided, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Now, that doesn't mean we don't need to figure out how we keep it from bit rot and the policies and stuff, but I think we would have a hard time pulling all that getting started stuff out.
So I think that's an excellent piece of feedback to give on that KEP. In some ways, I regard that as, I don't know if you've ever had like extensive home improvement, and especially if you have like a new construction, sometimes you include very intentional, very easy things for an inspector to find so that they can not interfere with the rest of the work. So I think of it as analogous to that. If we get a lot of pushback about removing the getting started page, honestly, I think it does no harm to allow it to remain. I would rather, so my hope in that discussion is not to see, not to focus so much on what to remove, so much as to decide about what goes in. And I think that once we agree on what can go in and what's required for it to go in, like how many can a feature developer single-handedly decide that they're going to include third-party content? Does a review require consensus from like 3 different reviewers at 3 different companies, for example, just to arbitrarily throw a number out there? So I think once we have those in place, then it becomes a much different discussion to follow up about conformance. About making individual pages conformant to what we agree upon. But I think if we try to have the discussion about how content gets in and what to remove at the same time, I think that will derail both of those conversations.
Definitely, I definitely agree with that. Because I personally was feeling uncomfortable with the removing this content from it was one of our big, from the docs point of view, it was one of our key value adds. I bet you if you went and checked the pages, I bet you those are hit a lot. And so, you know, when you have an open source project, you want it always to be valuable and relevant. You never want to lose your relevancy. So, but I definitely agree with you, Zach, that it does spur the right conversations about, well, what does it mean to get in, and how do we worry about making sure that, you know, it meets, you know, the type of standards we want it to meet. So I think you and I are on the same page there.
I agree. I think we're concurring. We're just arriving at that concurrence by different means.
Yep. Okay, cool.
And
So I got to go look at that cap again and make sure, see what Cody did to it. I put some stuff in, and then I had a religious holiday, I think, or something. I don't know what I did. Maybe I can't even remember what I did, but I need to go back to it.
sure, I would absolutely. So I recommend going in there because so I think Tim did a great job of assimilating all that feedback together. But I also know that some of what made it in is a paraphrase as opposed to specific language. So it's worth reviewing to make sure that that KEP reflects the ideas in it truly, if that's helpful.
No, excellent.
Okay. We focus on how third party Okay. That's what we have for process. Junyi, would you give us an update on the Korean localization, please?
Okay, thank you. We don't have membership update for the last 1 month, and we just budgeted 3 team milestones, and we made a final team milestone merge for release 1.15.
Hooray! That's awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. I'm sorry. Thank you, folks. And we are currently working on the 1.16. So we just merged 2 team milestone branches, and we are working for those 3rd milestone.
Awesome.
Excellent.
And our proposal of Kubernetes Forum Seoul was accepted, and Soko and Ian Che will speak for the forum. So I request for the contributor patches for those speakers.
Awesome. Congratulations on having your proposal accepted. That's wonderful news. So the best person to contact for patches is Paris Pittman, and she is on Slack as @Paris. Let me just check what her email is really quickly. Let me copy that. I'm going to put her email in here as well. Okay, there's her email as well, parispittman@google.com. So I'd recommend reaching out to Paris on Slack. She's going to have the easiest access to contributor patches.
Okay, thank you. I'll contact Paris.
Cool.
Very nice.
Yeah, congratulations again on getting your talk accepted.
Thank you for your help.
Sure. Okay, we've reached the end of our agenda. Is there anything that folks would like to discuss in the time we have left?
I think I'm pretty good.
Okay.
Good topics tonight.
Yeah. All right. Well, do the final countdown. All right. That's a SIG meeting.
Awesome.
Congratulations, Junyi, on finishing up 1.15 and already getting into your third milestone for 1.16. That's really impressive.
Yep.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
All right. Take care. Have a good week.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.